everyone? Mike with FormAWin here to help you guys get your first engineering job. This is a live call from our school community, packed with tons of value, great questions asked by our students, top tips, secrets I've never given out before. This is the #1 engineering tip video out there, named to date. I promise you, sit there for the entire video, rewatch it twice, take notes, grab a pen and piece of paper, lock in, get into it, go FormAWin. See you guys later. All right. So again, happy Monday, guys. So today we're talking about resume and interview stuff, right? So I just have some topics to discuss, some things to discuss, and then feel free to ask me some questions afterwards, right? Because I know you guys have some interviews lined up. So let me know about those afterwards. You guys can say the company, where we're at, what specific questions you have, and then I can talk through how I would prepare and how you should prepare. Again, we have some school resources, right? So look through some of that stuff. But the biggest thing with interview prep, which all of you have heard, and I've said this 1,000 times, is I don't like prepping for interviews. Again, I'm not trying to prepare to be someone that I'm not. But at the same time, there's still preparation that comes with everything you do, right? Let's just say you have a 30-minute meeting. I learned this from one of my mentors. I don't remember the exact timing, but I think it's like 10% of the meeting or something. You should at least spend preparing for or maybe 25%. If you have a 20-minute meeting, you should at least spend 5 minutes preparing for it before the meeting. Because that's going to help you make the most out of the meeting, right? Versus, that's where cramming comes in. Like when you prep for exams and stuff, that's where some of that philosophy comes in, even though a lot of people are like, oh, well, you shouldn't cram, right? You should just study kind of weeks before and all this up and stuff, right? But, depending on how your life's set up, if you have a business, if you're, going to work, if you're doing 20 different things, right? I mean, you should still cram appropriately. That's why we cram, because we typically remember the most out of it, right? So with every meeting you have, if that's an interview, if that's, like a meeting like this, right? I mean, this is a perfect example. These trainings, to make the most out of it, you should at least prepare 5-10 minutes beforehand, right? Key questions, reviewing how you've been for the week, different things like that. But this applies again for all different types of meetings. So for interviews specifically, right? Think about what those are, right? So what interview do you have? Is it a phone screening? Is it a face-to-face Zoom interview? What is it? What's going on? And then once you kind of pinpoint exactly what you need to prepare, and then you have a little bit of time to look ahead of it, that's going to help you get into a mental game with it, and then just make sure you're rocking and rolling and you don't miss anything, right? Because if you just run into an interview blindly, like let's just say you have a school and then you have a phone interview right after your class. Like let's say your class is from 3 to 4, you have a phone interview at 4 p.m. right after, right? That's like, I would avoid that at all costs. But at the same time, it's life, and we have to deal with it sometimes, right? So maybe you leave class a little bit early. That's going to help you out a lot. So that's some different preparation tactics. And, I might have told everybody here, I'm not sure, but, make sure you record your phone screenings or whatever interviews you can. If you have a Zoom interview, cool, you can record that. Obviously, if you're on site somewhere, you can't do that, but it's totally cool if you record some on the side. Just don't share with anybody really. And then that way you can review it afterwards, figure out what went wrong, what went right. I mean, you can even throw it in ChatGPT if you want to and kind of get a little perspective out of that as well. Definitely send it to me, right? That's what I'm here for. But that's going to give you more perspective as well. And then the biggest thing for interviews too is a lot of what we talk about here with FormAWin is the compound interest, right? Of doing different interviews, prepping for different interviews, scheduling all of these out, right? Because if you have more interviews, then it's going to remove the weight and the stress of interviews. So that way, when you go to these interviews, they're less like, oh, this is the end of the world, right? This is my whole life on the line. This is all, I mean, this is all or nothing. If not this, then I don't know. I'm gonna have to go move to Alaska and start slinging ice or something. I don't know what they do there, but right. So if you have more interviews lined up and you start treating your career like a business, start tracking these things. What led to this interview? 10 applications, cool. That means I need to do 100 to get 10 interviews, and then out of 10 interviews, I'll get 3 offers, right? So again, like I've talked with you guys about that, but that's the biggest way to prepare. So before the interview, if you have time, let's just say it's a great day, you got plenty of time beforehand, and you have time to prepare. Again, my definition of prepare is different than everybody else's definition. I mean, especially at school or professors, right? My definition would be, okay, cool. Well, I have an hour before the interview. I have time to prepare. Well, number one, I'm going to review the job description. Obviously, just make sure I'm clear on that. I'm going to apply to 20 different positions. And then I'm going to review some key questions that I want to make sure I ask. Then I'm going to look at the person's LinkedIn to see what they have that I could relate to, right? So if you know the interview person and you know what they have, and maybe they like golf or something you can relate to, right? Make sure it's something that you actually do. Right. For me, I don't play golf. So if someone goes and plays golf and I try to relate to that, it's just not going to work, because some might come up, or just, I mean, they're going to know. They're going to be like, okay, cool. So what do you use? Right. I'm going to be like, something to hit the ball, and that's not gonna go fly by too well, right? So again, with interviews, that's kind of some little tidbits right there. Because again, I know a lot of you have some phone screenings coming up. So that's going to be number one thing on that, right? That's how I would prepare because doing those applications and then maybe something else too. If you've been meaning to review your resume or make some edits to your portfolio or whatever it is, I mean, that's preparation too mentally because that just puts you at a better place to go into the interview and nail it. So that's what I would highly recommend. And then going into resume, right? All of you have access in your Google Drives or the school community to one of the previous resumes I used to get my first internship. I highly recommend you guys go customize your resume too. You should have your standard format resume, but then some things, if you're open to it, you can go apply and use a random weird format because that's you, right? Whatever that weird format is to you, don't just copy what I have, but whatever it means to you. But if you apply with like a cool website or something, and on Canva, you can make a free portfolio website. If you want to send like a weird PDF or something, but like still capturing all the information, right? Again, like on that resume that I used to get the first internship, I put my favorite quote on there, right? I mean, I put a bunch of stuff. Like again, all that stuff is you. And I mean, how do you stand out? How do you make yourself different? And the big stigma of you need to have a certain style of resume or you need to have a certain style of, as an engineer, we do this. Or if you're at a company, okay, you're an engineer, you do this, X, Y, and Z. Right. I mean, like there's no creativity in that. There's no uniqueness in that. So why would they pick you over someone else other than like one, okay, well, he had a special internship here and he didn't, right? Well, like they're not going to be able to know your character or what you're capable of unless you do it your own way and you're able to sell yourself outside of just sticking to the stigma, right? So that's the other challenge that I would kind of give you guys, especially when you go talk with people, when you go interview with people. Just be you. Don't conform to what everybody else is doing. If you know something's right and you feel something off about it, and there's like little two voices in your head, like a little baby voice or a boss voice, and the boss voice is saying, no, go out, go hold that door, go do this, go do that. Or the baby voice is saying, no, maybe I should just stick back and, maybe just submit my normal resume or kind of take it easy at the career fair or whatever it is, right? So that's just some more food for thought. So those are little baby lessons here. I want to make sure you guys apply those things. All those things are super important. And I'm sure you guys can go apply them during the week, right? So with that said, that's my Babel session for today. There's going to be plenty more things. We're going to be developing some presentations, especially during the weekly calls and everything. But use these as your stop shops, right? If you guys need to schedule a call with me or something, just come hop in here, right? So these are going to be happening Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And there's going to be plenty of other things coming up too. And then for the high level consultant clients, we have some Sunday calls. Those are for announcements and different special things coming up. But all of these calls, come pop in, come hop in. There's going to be new challenges throughout the week, right? I want you to take this stuff that we go over, the questions you guys ask, serve this as a check-in, and then you have 2 days, 48 hours or more before the next call, right? So I expect some progress to be made, whether that's reaching out to one more person, whatever it is. And then we define win checks and exactly what you guys should be doing, right? So whatever those are, make sure you're doing them. And then that way, between each call, I expect something. If not, we can talk about that, right? But something should be moving. Or maybe you follow with an interview and then we could talk on the next call, right? Because each call is going to have a segment for Q&A. They're going to be theme calls, but at the same time, if there's some that you need to talk about, we need to talk about it. So that's it. So why don't we kind of go around the room here? We'll talk about some interviews, whatever you guys got going on. If you have other questions too, open up, we can talk. But again, it's going to help everybody because we're all going through the same stuff. So whoever wants to unmute, go first, feel free.
I can go first. Hi, Mike. So I have a resume question actually. So I know in resumes it's common to have an additional experiences section or additional information section. That's where a lot of people like to add their own twist and personalize their resume, so to speak. I was wondering if would it be worth it to add any networking events that you've attended, any like notable ones, and if that would be worth having on there.
I would recommend not putting that in the resume. I think
Hmm.
add that to the cover letter, maybe.
Okay.
I wouldn't call that an experience point. I would
Hmm.
also make sure you're posting that on LinkedIn, which I know you've been good at. Um,
Hmm.
so make sure that's on LinkedIn, readily available. You can pin
Yeah.
it on your LinkedIn too. And we talk about branding and social media a lot, and it's super important. It's fairly underrated, but I mean, it's also up and coming, right? And then it's going to start turning into a question of how to maximize that and get the most notice out of that at some point down the road. But for now, I wouldn't add that to the resume,
Hmm.
especially. it depends on the type of resume. If you're doing that initial weird type I'm talking about, add it in there. Have fun with it. Add whatever you want because again, if that one event or something that you're talking about, something happened there that you need to talk about, it might be worth putting on there, right? Because maybe some
Mm.
really changed for you at that event, or maybe you talk with someone, change your perspective, it changed your life at that event, right? And then you want to add that to the resume because it's a critical moment. I'm all
Mhm.
for it. If we're talking about the black and white staple resume, you know what I mean? Then I probably wouldn't add it to that. But if you have another version, we can add it to that. Or if you're using the staple version, I would add it to the cover letter.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
No problem. No problem. Well, we got people. It's also okay if you don't have anything. But again, I know some people have some phone screening. So maybe if we want to bring those up.
Yep. So, I have a phone screening actually tomorrow with SpaceX that I've been right now for prepping for it. I've been just basically trying to go back through because it's a propulsion position, just the basic fluid mechanics stuff that I'd be going over. Sorry, my lighting's horrible in my room, but
No, you're good.
uh the other thing that I've been trying, do you have any idea where like more technical questions or something like that that I could just like that nothing really properly surprises me out of nowhere? One of my
Yep.
last interviews with SpaceX, they kind of had a question that I did not refresh on since like 3 years ago, and I think I got it right, but I don't know.
So the biggest thing with that, and unfortunately, one of our clients didn't get an offer from there yet. But what we had done, and I'd highly suggest that you reach out to Keithan, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name correct. Kagan, you can get him in the school community, both of them, Kagan, and then Keithan is Keithen, because they both gone through this. But at least on the technical side, right? There's only so much you can do to prepare the phone screening. I wouldn't worry about that. They're probably not
Okay.
talking about that there. Again, make sure you record, you go over it. But then the next part is going to be going to that in-person interview, right? So whenever you're there, that's where all that fun stuff is going to come out. And the best thing you can do there is just prepare the best you can, right? Once we get to that point, or if you're going to preemptively, which I'll let you kind of decide if you're comfortable with it. If you're preemptively assuming you'll get past the phone screening, I mean, you could start now, but since it's tomorrow, just wait until after, so then you have a
Yep.
better idea. But then at that point, that's when I would start connecting with a bunch of engineers, right? I would go
Hmm.
look at SpaceX engineers. If you know the exact position, obviously, then I would connect with others that have been in that position. You can go on LinkedIn, shoot them a message. You can find some emails. You can run a ChatGPT deep search and say, hey, find me some SpaceX people online that are doing this type of position. And I want you to find 200 different engineers. You run a deep search. I mean, they'll find 200 different engineers, right? And then from there, you can kind of assume the email. That's what I would do. And then you can just send a
Hmm.
bunch of different emails, right? Say, hey, I have an interview coming up, or just like, I mean, I can work with you on the wording. I would keep it generic, like, hey, I'm looking to connect with different engineers. I managed to find your contact. I see that you've done a lot of impressive work. I would love to connect, chat, right? And then we can kind of run that whole networking play that we were talking about. So start with that, right? Because your interview is probably not going to be for, like, especially if you need to fly up there or something, it's probably not going to be for 2 weeks minimum. So you have
Yeah.
time, but I would get super far ahead of it so you can get some direct answers from there. But what I was bringing up with Keith and Coggin, he our approach, and I'm going to highly recommend that you do this too, because I told him to do some of this. We didn't do all of it. When you get to that interview, right? Jot down absolutely everything you can, like the in-person interview, because it'll probably be a day-long interview. So when you get in
Yep.
there, you need to jot down everything. Like every hour on the hour, if you're taking a bathroom break or something, go in there, like take some notes on your phone or something. Like just make like you need to document as much as possible because then when you get to those technical questions, you write those down, you make sure you remember them, especially right after you go in the car after on the way back or whatever. Like you're just writing everything down, making sure you remember. So that way afterwards you can send them a response. Right. I'm not too sure. I'm not sure how many people do this. I'm assuming not many. But what we did with him is we made some response videos where he brought up a whiteboard and explained how to solve the problem because he had some time to do some research and respond to it, right? And
Hmm.
biggest thing with all of this, which I think some engineering companies miss a little bit, but it depends on the type of role. In an early career role, I'm not too concerned about the technical expertise on the spot because it really never comes down to that. It just never does. Like again, like you're never gonna be like holding a rocket up with two hands and you got 10 other people. It's like, okay, solve this dynamics thermal equation right now. Otherwise, right? Like it's not gonna be like that. I mean, we have meetings for design proposals or whatever kind of work that we're doing, and then you have a meeting, you have time to prep for the meeting, right? So if you go back home that night or in the next 2 nights and then you go kind of draft a response, that's going to increase the likelihood of your chances like 10x, tenfold. So that's what I want us to prepare for a worst case scenario. But leading
Mhm.
into it, those connections are going to be key, right? And again, there's only so much you can do. ChatGPT is a great resource as of late, but Google whatever else we can find and just study it the best you can for the technical part of it, because you'll probably know going into it the realm of stuff, and at least with where you're at with what you had done before interview wise, I would do a little comparison in ChatGPT as well and say, hey, I had an interview XYZ years ago or just whatever for this position. They asked me these types of questions and I got stumped on this question, right? So trying to prepare for this new interview that I have, here's the role, here's the questions that I'm expecting or different things I'm expecting. I mean,
Mhm.
what kind of curveballs would you expect to be thrown at me? And then that's your study tool.
Yeah. And then other than just the basic stuff that you told me with the last interview set that I had, what types of things at least have you found makes you stand out the most with like the phone screenings, at least that have worked in the past? So I know like complimenting the dude or trying to find something in common between me and whoever the recruiter is that I'm calling with and stuff like that. But is there anything else that you found?
So there's only so much tactical stuff you can do on a phone screening to prepare for it, like the compliments, which I highly recommend. But again, a lot
Hmm.
of the stuff comes from practice, but not by prepping for it. It comes from practice from just being out talking with people, right? And what I'm talking about, especially with what I said with that compound interest effect and make sure we have more interviews lined up, like all of that is such a big mental game that you guys probably don't weigh in as much as we should. Like the mental aspect of all this is crazy. Do you guys know who David Goggins is? Have you heard of him? You heard? Yeah, everyone cool. I mean,
Yeah.
so I was just listening to his book Can't Hurt Me, right? And I mean, he went through some crazy stuff, right? Like running where his like shins were like bleeding with the bone sticking out or whatever he's got going on, right? So I mean, like that took a lot of mental discipline and training to get to where he can even do any of that, right? So that's like the supreme extra example. But bringing it back to interviews, right? It is a mental game where we have this interview coming up. There's a lot online. We put a lot of work to get this interview, and it's like, okay, I mean, like you don't really have too much of a choice other than to stress out unless we can wrap our heads around the mental frame where it's not that big of a deal. And that's the biggest thing with FormAWin that I try to preach, right? Because I put a lot of emphasis on trying to get an engineering job and making this stuff happen, and because it is a big deal at the time. But again, it is step one out of 10,000, and it's really not that big of a deal in the long run, depending on what goals you have and what dreams you want to set out for yourself. So if we remove that aspect and remove the pressure from it, everything changes, especially bringing it back to what I just first said with the tactical stuff you can do during the interview. If we remove that mental pressure, then that tactical stuff is just going to come naturally from you being in a happy, good mood. Because when you're in a happy, good mood and you go talk with someone, right? I mean, they're going to have a hard time doing anything but liking you or wanting to get to know you, right? So that's the
Hmm.
stuff. But when we get down to maybe some special tips, right? Make sure that you're in a good phone service area, right? I would recommend you make sure you're locked in on that, maybe test it out beforehand, right? Make sure you don't have Bluetooth on, you're not connecting back and forth between headsets, right? All the minimal stuff like that, right? And then that's all that you can do. And I would have your resume pulled up in front of you. So that way, if they ask any questions about it, you have it pulled up, ready to go. Don't be caught with your pants down, not know some like a bullet point on your resume. Cause I mean, I've done that before and some other people have done that before. And it's like, oh, well, yeah, about that. I mean, I can talk about that and you do a little more research, like make sure you know everything on your resume. Right. And that's it. That's it. The biggest thing here is quantity over too much quality, because at some point quantity can outbeat quality, right? Like let's just say you have
Hmm.
two, I don't want to use that example at all. Let's say you have two tank building companies, right? And whatever the specifications are of tanks, you can already see where I was like, okay, I don't want to talk about what I was originally thinking about. Uh, so,
Yeah.
so, so let's just say you have two tanks, right? You got two tank companies. One tank can make one great tank every 5 months. Okay. That tank can hit all of the requirements. It can go at the range you want. But then this company, they can make 50 tanks in 1 month at like two-thirds of the cost, right? So at some point, quantity is going to beat quality. And this especially applies with business aspects or more so your career aspects for getting these interviews, right? So that's where the biggest thing on, and I know we're kind of getting away from the question here, but that, I mean, that's the biggest thing that I would do, right? Because I know that you've had lots of successful kind of things in the past, right? So I wouldn't fix what's not broken. So just keep being you. And I already know that you have a lot of confidence. So keep that up and just keep pushing. That's it, right? The fun stuff is going to be when we get to the next part where we might apply some different tactics and tips and stuff like that going into it moving forward, which we mainly covered on this call too. But also during the day, make sure you message me and stuff like that. So there's going to be a lot of feedback going off of that. So let me know how it goes tomorrow. But I think that's it for now.
Cool. Thank you.
No problem, man. I got you guys. You got anything, Sebastian? It's all good if you don't.
Yes. I do have an in-person interview coming up in November 4th with
That's right.
Bombardier. You've actually helped answer some of my questions when you were explaining it to them as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm just nervous about the technical part because
Yep.
it'll be in person. I don't got my resume up in front of me. Like it'll just be raw responses and stuff like that. So
Got it. So the biggest advice I have for you right now is obviously everything on this call, and I'm gonna record that, or this is recording. I'll get this posted probably tomorrow night. That's probably gonna be it. And it'll be posted in the SKOOL community. So make sure you go back, look at it, right? There's plenty of YouTube videos we have, and we got plenty more coming out. Maybe I'll try to do a specific one. I'll actually take a note of that right now. But one of the biggest things I have for you, Sebastian, that, and I mean, if everybody wants to do this too, cool. But what I would recommend doing, technical interview preparation video. I got you. And then I'll come up with that probably Wednesday. Is I would go to Starbucks or a coffee shop and talk to 3 new people a day. Again, technical stuff, you most likely know it. If not, your problem solving skills and, you know, just being an engineer for a long time, as a student, like you're capable. You're not capable. It's just a matter of you dealing with these social situations, because that's all it is in like the engineering world too, right? Again, like you're not holding that rocket, you're not doing all that. It's all about people navigating and selling yourself between people to get ideas and convey things and get things done, right? Because there's a lot of paperwork in the industry, and depending on where you're at, you need to make sure people are moving and everyone's happy and everything's going efficiently. So that's half of the game. Half of the other game is the actual engineering, right? So that's where you'll get tested. But at the same time, if you nail that first 50% being the people and interpersonal stuff and the technical stuff, right? That's where you can learn. That's where, like, because a lot of companies, like, they can't teach that interpersonal stuff. Like, you either are who you are or you're not, right? So if we nail that, and it's like, okay, well, he's pretty good at technical stuff, right? I mean, like, there's some things he can learn, but I mean, oh, look, I just got an email and he just sent us the questions answered on a whiteboard. Wow. Okay. So I guess he's already good with that, right? Okay. And I mean, he's a great interpersonal person. So honestly, I like him, right? So that's where the difference comes in. Technical stuff, you can prepare for it. That's probably the easiest thing for you to prepare for, because you have some sliver of what they're going to ask you, right? And there's no shame in bringing some notes. There's no shame in bringing a folder, unless they specifically said, did they specifically say not to bring stuff?
no, they didn't
Bring
talk about
everything.
it. Yeah.
Bring everything. Like, so they're gonna put you in a conference room, right? There, so you're gonna have a big table. You're gonna say, "Cool, all right, give me 1 second." Unzip the backpack, resume, bop, notes, bop, formula sheet, bop, this, bop. Have your phone out, bop, and then a blank piece of paper to take notes on as well, and let it rip.
All
Have
right.
the thing. You're you, be you. When you know the funny thing, here, wait 1 second. I mean, this is just one thing, but I mean, I bring this to every meeting I go in. I have no shame, right? And like, so like the thing is with all like, and then sometimes I bring my lunchbox. I got my protein shaker out. You know what I mean? So I mean, just be you, have fun, be you, be confident, go out and be more concerned about like you being a good person, trying to get the right answer, trying to do good by everybody, and leaving everybody in a better energy state than you left them. If you go into that meeting room and you leave them in a better energy state than you left them, you did a good job. That's the biggest thing. Outside of that, I mean, some homework too with the technical stuff, right? I mean, Riley, you'll kind of have that after the phone screening, maybe if they send you anything additional, or if you already have it, cool. But Sebastian, what you can do is you can send me a little bit of the preparation that I kind of told Riley to do, where you get ChatGPT, kind of compare it, see what we got, see what, and like see what it comes up with. then I want you to like do a little homework before you send it to me, right? And then send me some different things you're studying, you're preparing, and like the description that you have of the job and like what they told you to prepare for. And then after you do a little homework, kind of organize some thoughts, send it over to me so I can take a look at it. Then I'll kind of give you a little different perspective, maybe, or just some additional fill in the blanks. And then you'll be rocking and cruising, right? But the biggest thing again is that first 50% of the interpersonal stuff. So go out, maybe talk to 3 new people a day. Just, I mean, if you're already out going to school or something, you're going to a job or something. I mean, just go stop by a local or like a close by coffee shop or whatever, right? Just anything. Go talk to someone sitting down. Like, hey, I'm just looking to connect with people in the area. My name's Sebastian. What's your name? Cool. What do you do? Awesome. I do this. Well, I mean, it's great seeing you. Hopefully I see you again at some point. Awesome. Take care. That's it. If you want to get their email or something and they happen to be doing something cool that they might be able to get you an interview, I mean, let it rip. Just jot down their email or something. But definitely recommend doing that because that's going to help break a lot of the ice as well. All right, guys.
Then,
Oh yeah, shoot.
so when you say part of the technical interview, like homework wise, like should or would they have like given you questions to work up on?
So what have they given you so far?
So after the phone interview, she gave me like a email confirming that I get the in-person interview and then how to get to that building. And that's basically it. Like the person I'm also getting interviewed by, but she didn't give me like what to touch up on or like specifics, if that makes sense.
I would email back and ask them.
Okay.
It didn't. I would shoot them an email, say, hey, I'm really looking forward to the interview. I started looking at some of the company history and do that before you send the email. Don't lie. I looked at some company history and I love everything I'm seeing. And, I just want to make sure I'm fully prepared for this interview and make sure I maximize this opportunity. What would you suggest I do to prepare both for the behavioral and technical questions?
Okay.
And just see what they say.
All right. Thank you.
And if we go back with 1 or 2 more chains between them, I mean, why not? So, I mean, like, we'll see what they say. If they're pretty bare bones and like, well, just show up with a smile. Be like, all right. I mean, maybe we reply back and be funny. I'll show up with 2 smiles. No, I don't know about that, but yeah. So shoot them an email, do that, and do the same thing I told Riley, where you can go on LinkedIn, connect with some of the other employees, maybe, right? Or just shoot them an email, same thing, and try to prepare the best you can with that as well, because they're going to be closer related, or at least some of them might have a say. It really ranges. It's hit or miss. Sometimes if you reach out to someone, maybe they know you're being interviewed, maybe they don't, right? But I'd rather play in the odds of maybe they do rather than not, because it's still a shot, and I'd rather take the shot because you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So that's where I stand. That's where I lie. And that's how we form a win. Does anybody have any other questions? Or if you want another follow-up with that too. All right, guys. Have a great night. I'll see y'all Wednesday if you choose to come on in. If not, make sure you submit your check-ins, everything. Make sure you touch base, go on LinkedIn, follow there, look for some new videos, lots of fun stuff coming up. And that's it for now. I'll see y'all later. Have a good night. Keep rocking. Bye, guys.
You.